Hello, my name is Kirioth, and I was right. Last week, Games Workshop released a little tease. A hint of things to come just before the 1st of April, a little video that I made something about, and you know what? I'm absolutely saying right now, I called it. There's so many things, there's so many possibilities, there's so much they could do. I bet it's squats.
Actually, you said it was a joke, but if they did reveal it, you would claim that it wasn't a joke by saying in the description that you called it and that it was a prediction and not a joke, except you publicly admitted you'd do that in the description, and then you made it even worse by publicly admitting it on Twitter. You might think you got smarts, but you ain't cunning enough for this, are you?
I have no further statements at this point. Barry will be hearing from my lawyer. That is a slanderous accusation, and I'm not standing for it, and I'm just going to move on and pretend it didn't happen. So, yeah, basically, they did an April Fool's reveal on the 1st, which was for squats. And, to be honest, at that point, I was like, is it a joke? Is it a joke of a joke? Is the joke that there is no joke? Because, let's face it, the 1st of April has become an absolute nightmarish hellhole of extremely obvious jokes, which no one could possibly take seriously, and the kind of insidious jokes that don't really look like they are actually jokes, but they are, except for the times that they're not. And that is one of those situations that Games Workshop put us in until they finally showed off this lad. An actual squat. Well, not a squat. It is the Leagues of Votan, so they've given them a name. Now, the main reason that I didn't make a video on this as it happened was because I was at DempseyCon. So Liam Dempsey, another 40k YouTuber, was having a community meetup, and I went to that, and it was awesome, and I loved it, and it's kind of reinvigorated me when it comes to 40k, which is nice. Also, really good event, and put on really well. I'm going to put a link to his channel in the description. Go and subscribe and say hello. Just go to the latest thing and say hello. This, I quite like. I do quite like it. It's not giving me, like, massive I must own this now kind of feelings. I've seen a few people who are, like, super hyped for it. And here's the thing. If you are one of the people who remember squats or had squats, or they were, like... If you've got that nostalgia drive for them, I can easily see how this is massive. I don't have that, like, nostalgia drive. I don't have that kind of attachment to them. They just weren't a thing in my local scene at all. No one was bothered. And in fact, when I started playing, I mean, when did they disappear? I think they were gone when I started playing anyway, but there was no one locally around me who I gamed against when I first started 40k who was like big into squats or upset that they were gone. They just weren't a thing. So for me personally, this is more of an interesting seeing what they do with a brand new faction thing, as opposed to a, you know, really wanting something old that I loved in the past back in the game. There's like a nice mix of stuff going on here, to be honest. I mean, you kind of got that, like a miner's rig, which makes sense, and it does look kind of cool. There's a lot of cloth. I'm getting kind of like almost like a Gene Stealer cults mixed with Space Marines mixed with Imperial Guard off this model. It feels like there's a lot of influences from multiple different things. So you've got like the pistol holster, and you've got like that little mine/grenade. You've got all the pouches that you might see on like on an Imperial Guard model. You've got the pads that you see from the Gene Stealer cult, but the armor feels a lot more developed. It's obviously a lot more technologically advanced, which is nice. There's a nice differentiation there between what is effectively one kind of mining-based army versus a newer one. The gun is cool. The gun is weird because it looks vaguely Imperium-ish, but more advanced, which is again a nice touch. Overall, I think it's a perfectly good model. It's not, as I say, not like super grabbing me in a I must own this, I must paint this way. But I am curious to see what they do in terms of other models for this faction, like whether it's a kill team or a full-blown army, whether we have like a bunch of different like options, but only stemming from one kit. I kind of hope that they don't go the Gene Stealer cult route. Like, aesthetically, that is one of the best looking factions in 40k, but there's not actually a huge amount of variety going on with that. There's a lot of HQs. You've got a lot of like specialist HQ units and stuff, but the actual troops and the like, you've only got a couple of kits for that. I don't really want to see them do the same thing with the Leagues of Votan as they've done there, because I don't know, I feel like more variety in terms of troops and everything else is more interesting than just, here's a shed load of single characters. So I'm kind of hoping they don't do that. One of the most interesting parts about this, for me, though, is this here, right? So, although their civilization shares common roots with humanity, the Leagues of Votan have an uneasy relationship with the Imperium of Man. Unlike their superstitious human cousins, the Leagues emerged from the Age of Strife with far more of their ancient technology intact, including some infamous advances the Imperium would consider extremely heretical. That's actually the bit that I find super interesting. That's the bit that I'm really latching onto. The model is cool, the model's fine. I want to see what they do with more of this stuff, especially now that we know that they do have that more advanced technology, and it is like evidenced on that model. But that means the floodgates are open for all the cool stuff that the Imperium can't have because they lost so much of their tech during the Age of Strife. This is a human-based civilization that potentially doesn't need to go down the route the Imperium went down. They can still use mechs or robots that have actual AI. They have just more of that stuff that the Imperium would kill to have. And I don't know, there's like really cool potential here for a human faction that is just not as horrific as the Imperium is. And that's something that would bring the Imperium into even more of a worse light than they already are. Like, they're already terrible. We know the Imperium sucks. We know this. But nothing would make it even more clear than if we have another, effectively, human civilization that doesn't need to just destroy entire planets of its own, that doesn't need to sacrifice thousands of souls a day to keep one person kind of alive. Like, this could be a really nice counter to the whole thing of, well, the Imperium is just doing what they need to survive. Okay, sure, but here is a group that is not doing that, and they are still surviving, and the Imperium sucks even more than you've previously thought, because look, they didn't need to do that in the first place. That's one of the things I love about the Interrex in the Horus Heresy books. That was a human civilization that just didn't do what the Imperium did. They didn't need to go out and wipe out everything they came across. They didn't need to go out and slaughter everything in sight. Their approach to chaos and their approach to conquest was completely different. It was completely at odds with what the Imperium did. And they were getting on perfectly fine and perfectly well until the Imperium arrived, which should tell you all you need to know about the approach of humanity at that point, or at least the approach of humanity under the guidance of the Emperor at that point. An actual human civilization, even if they are technically abhumans, an actual human civilization that doesn't need to do that is a great contrast and should really hammer home just how dreadful the universe is. That the most powerful human faction, arguably. I mean, Chaos you could kind of say, but then Chaos is more, there's demons as well, so if there's that contrast, that will really ramp up the just inherent god-awfulness of 40k, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't know, I'm excited to see what else they do with it. Not getting massive grab me now vibes off the current model that we've been shown, but then, as I say, I don't have that massive nostalgia for them, but there's a huge potential for just really making the universe feel even worse than it already does, which, I mean, I'm all for, frankly. It's supposed to be an absolute hellhole. Anyway, what do you reckon of these lads? You excited? You're not excited? You've been waiting for this since they disappeared? Are you surprised they did the double joke? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things. Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you'd like. And there's one for Noble Knight Games if you are in the US. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.